Okay, now I'm going to work on the Tanto a little bit. I'm going to be using, well, it's a wood shaver that I have not fully converted yet to a Sen, but it does the job nonetheless. So pay attention. This is pretty fun. I like doing this with this type of material. Basically what I'm doing is I'm using this device to flatten my flats, to get up a lot of the pitting, so when I come back through with my file I have very little work to do. But my main goal is to make sure my flats are flat. So that's what I'm doing with the Sen right now. Okay, now I'm using my Mill Bastard file as a Sen. And what this will do is actually go back through and fix up all the rough areas that the Sen did. So we just start kind of small, paying attention to where we're using the file because we don't want to overlap the edge. Use all your force on the push and be light on the pull back because the file will actually clog up inside all the teeth here. So you got to be careful when you're using the draw file. And besides, the less force that you put behind a push, the more material you're going to move. The more push you put behind it, the more force, the more you're going to move a lot of material, but you're going to move too much material. So your goal is ultimately to remove as little material as possible, but to do it as quickly as possible. I know that may not make sense to some people, but it does actually work. Less is more, and more is faster. From using the Japanese style Sen and a Mill Bastard file, I've been able to get my bevels really straight, keeping them nice and crisp. You always want to make sure you don't roll over the edge because you'll undo a lot of work that you put into this. So making sure you pay attention to where your file is and how much pressure you're putting on your file when you file. And right now I have pretty straight Shinogi G and got a few little humps on the spine that I'll file down here eventually. But for the most part I got a nice crisp Shinogi right here, which is your ridge line right here, runs right straight down through here. Have a nice flat surface down here, which is your Ha, and hopefully I can get the other side to match up. Did my file work on the right side of the blade. I went ahead and started working and forming the tang a little bit because I need to know where some of my geometry is going to start, where some of my tapering is going to end up. And so now what I did is I made my cuts and I'm filing and drawing this down so it's nice. It's an even sweep so it works from tip to tip. Okay, so there's no extra curves in here. Everything kind of is in one straight line, sort of. And I want to make sure my tang is the right dimensions. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm draw filing back here on the back, making sure everything is straight. Pretty basically I'm just eyeballing where I'm going with the file, and I'm just pushing a little bit of steel at a time. Every couple of seconds I stop and sight down the blade, make sure that there's no high spots, and there is. It's on its side, on the right side over here. You got to be careful. What just happened there is when you're using the file, you can actually hurt yourself if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. And trust me, nothing hurts worse than having a sliver of steel shoved into your hand and you can't get it out. It's almost like it gets infected immediately, which is why I wear these gloves. Not too long ago I had a nice piece of steel shoved into my hand, and well, needless to say, I learned a valuable lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over, okay, and I'm going to work on the high, or the ha side of the blade. Okay, so making sure my vise is nice and tight. I'm going to sight up and down the spine, and I just want to make sure that everything is going in one direct angle. So I'll kind of come down to it on its own level, just so I can see where everything's at. I feel that everything is uniform, then I can go ahead and stop. Now I have my machi right here. My munye machi is on the bottom side, and my ha machi is on the top side. These are the notches where the habaki will actually come in, and it'll know where to stop. Okay. I used to generally cut them to an 1/8 inch, but I don't now. So I make them kind of shallow, because I want to make sure I got enough material to work with my copper, so I can make the best possible fit when I finally get around to making the fittings for this particular blade. So from what you see here is I have now got the ha and the munye machi cut in, and everything kind of just works right along the blade there. My edge still nice and thick, and I'm going to actually work that down with the file. I'm going to get it a little bit thinner. I need to do the same thing with the spine back here. I need to get this a little bit thinner. I need to get it down just a little bit more, probably to about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do the same thing for up here. I'm going to generally get about 1/8 of an inch, which is probably about as thick as this piece of copper. And that's how much of an edge I want to have. So when I do my heat treating, I get the best possible heat treat around.